And as the need to increase safety and security of the continent and the Nordic countries is at an all-time high, cohesion and cooperation is paramount. It is my great pleasure to welcome here in the studio my guest, the Honorable Øystein Bø, Ambassador of the Kingdom of Norway to Poland. Ambassador, thank you so much for joining me on the program.
Thank you for having me.
So let's take a look at the Nordic-Canadian summit, which has taken place. The leaders agreed to strengthen the ties, to boost NATO presence in the region and deepen cooperation on defense and military procurement. What does this mean in practice? How Norway currently sees and defines what it seems to be the greatest threat to the country?
Well, I must first, the Nordics and Canada, they have a lot in common. We're all Arctic nations, we all care about the Arctic, and we cannot alone decide that NATO will boost, but what they do is supporting actually the already boosting of the NATO presence in the north that is going on. In practice, the declaration that was made yesterday will mean it's the start of a process, and these 6 countries will meet more often. They will look at how they can boost defense industry, how they can better work on the Arctic together, and also for our part, one important issue is creating good living conditions for the people in north. And the northernmost county of Norway is about the size of Denmark with 70,000 people. So we need to continue to make sure we have people living there. Mm-hmm. And as for the threat, we see eye to eye on NATO and all 6 that the major threat to our security is Russia.
So I would like to take a look at the cooperation between Norway and Poland, because services such as the police, the border guard and the state protection service will receive approximately, according to the information given to us, 300 million Polish zlotys, which is an equivalent of around 70 million euros for 18 projects fighting by Norwegian funds. And that's a piece of information that was announced by Deputy Minister of Funds and Regional Policy Jan Szyszko. He added that a police drone project will also be developed and supported. Why Polish secure border is important for Norway?
Well, Norway is a Schengen country, and Poland secures the outer borders of the Schengen area. So that's one reason it's important for us. And of course also the EA grants, and Deputy Minister Szyszko and we actually signed the program agreement for this Home Affairs program, which includes all the things you spoke about. The EEA Norway grants for us, it's important to support cohesion and development in Europe. We are non-EU countries and will be part of the internal market, so we find other ways of supporting this. So all in all, there are 8 programs. Norway's contribution through this incoming edition of the EEA programs is close to 3 billion zloty. The drone program that he spoke about, we have several drone programs. The Norwegian company Kongsberg is working with PGZ and APS for the so-called SAN project, which is developing part of the drone wall and developing innovative solutions for having a step-by-step counter-drone system where you can use cheaper methods than you have to use today when you use multi-million missiles to take down drones.
Mm-hmm. So apart from funding that is given from Norway projects to Poland, we know that there is a relation in defense that reaches back. We also know that in early 2026 there was an intensive effort to announce and formalize and strengthen this strategic security-focused relations. We know that Norway ordered missiles. From Norway's perspective, what is the most important aspect of the Polish-Norwegian cooperation, considering the climate that we encounter on the continent as of today, and even further when we consider the Middle East?
Firstly, both Norway and Poland are rock-solid allies. I've been NATO ambassador and I was sitting next to my Polish colleagues, so we have a very good relationship in NATO, and we share the same threat perception. We share the perception of Russia as the main threat, and what Russia, of course, does in Ukraine contributes also to that. So the most important aspect is to build a good security policy relation with Poland, and we do that through cooperating on practical issues. And this is not something that started in 2026. Last year, Norway had first half of the year NASAMS batteries in Czechów. We were here with F-35s 2 times. And you know, Poland came to our rescue in 1940, April. Then it was Polish soldiers who died and fought for Norwegian freedom. So this time it's also our time to pay back, as it were.
A very beautiful message. But when we talk about the Norwegian and Polish cooperation, we cannot forget that there is also the economic part of the cooperation, because we mentioned the military and the security. In recent years, that has been dominated by energy cooperation. We know about the Baltic Pipe project serving as a key component of that. The gas pipeline opened up the Polish portfolio when it comes to energy security, which, considering 2022, was incredibly important. How do you think Poland and Norway can actually even go a step further when it comes to those economic relations? And in terms of energy, I mean, let's not forget what's happening to the oil prices, considering the current situation in the Middle East. How do you think we can go even further?
Of course, the Baltic Pipe, as you say, is extremely important. We also have Equinor, who actually is working on investing in 3 wind farms in Polish waters, supplying 4 million households with electricity. And I think, you know, there is so much more to the economic relations between Poland and Norway than just energy. Minister Domanski's visit to Norway early January was very important to this end. We had a business roundtable. There are plans or thinking about a Polish-Norwegian business summit in the course of the year. We have Poland is actually the country in the world where we export most seafood to, because of all the processing going on here. Mowi, Norwegian company, have 4,000 employees. And on the beach or in Uska, they actually run the world's largest sushi factory, which is also kind of a fun fact.
We spoke about this cooperation between the two countries, but how do you identify the challenges of working on that cooperation, both economic and defense, when it comes to these two countries? Are there any challenges?
There
Anything
are always challenges. Both markets. I mean, the defense market is a difficult market, preferably one customer in each country. But I believe there is great potential for Poland and Norway to work together on defense industry, and we already see that with all the projects that are being thought of and are being established. And I think for the business relation, one of the challenges is, of course, that we are not an EU country. But we are within the internal market in the EU due to the EEA agreement. So I think that the challenge is to make sure that we understand each other well, which I believe we do, and that we actually work together. There are more than 400 Norwegian companies in Poland, so this is nothing new. We have a very active Chamber of Commerce, and so we're working to overcome all possible challenges, so to speak. But I believe the Norwegians and Polish people are quite similar, so we work well together and we understand each other.
I have to ask you a question that's been, I think, on the mind of our viewers for quite some time. Norway is a country that is very devoted when it comes to the question of its structure and the royal family in particular, but the monarchy, unfortunately, is in crisis. How's the royal family navigating the chaos, and how is it going to rebuild its trust in the eyes of the public?
Well, I have to refrain from commenting on what the royal family does and does not do, but I can say, as a matter of fact, there is still a solid support for the monarchy in Norway, and I think that is the most important thing.
Okay, so as our time on the program, I'm fully aware, is coming to an end, sadly. On a lighter note, the Oscars. I have to ask you this question. Norway must be ecstatic and proud.
You mentioned it earlier on the Polish short film, The Girl Who Cried Pearls, and my congratulations to Poland and Czerwińska on this.
Thank you very much. Are you going to celebrate the
we had some small celebration at the embassy today, but of course this is a historic moment. We have had nominations before. This is the first time in a Norwegian full movie win the Oscar, and the whole of Norway is ecstatic about it.
We're very happy.
And of course, when a small film nation like Norway receives this kind of international recognition, it's also about the freedom we give to the filmmakers, on artistic freedom, on trust and time. So
it's allowing.
Definitely, it's a big issue in Norway.
Well, congratulations on behalf of our entire team. Always the freedom of expression, especially when it comes to arts, is incredibly important, and it's lovely that Norway is having this celebration and this thing to celebrate. You said Norway may be a small population, but there is an immense creative potential. So once again, congratulations, Ambassador. Thank you so much for joining me on the program. Pleasure.
Thank you.
So, Øystein Bø, Ambassador of the Kingdom of Norway to Poland, was my guest here on the program tonight. I'm Klaudia Czerwińska. Thank you for joining, but I hope to see you back here right after this show because we have On the Record with Adam Jasser coming up next.